Sada just come out pretty good in the election in Iraq. Iraq is a cesspool for it just looks bad. They just tore up every system, purification of water, electricity. They have to get electricity from Iran. And when it gets 120, 125 degrees in the summer, they need them air conditioners, right? And Iran pump them over, electricity. They got the U.S. there trying to make Iran look bad, and it's not working, but they have their agents. They was there all of those years. So they're going to be able to affect Iraq in a negative way for a long time. But the U.S. is losing its ability because the people got an eye on everybody that was their friend. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so with that whole region is suffering very badly. In fact, what Iran has is light compared to what Yemen and everybody else have, because it fought its big fight in 1980 to 1988 by itself. Nobody was there. So, doing that type of jihad, it purifies the human being. I used to look at parents. I couldn't see the mother, but I could see the father during the war, and they had a certain look to them. And the hadith comes alive about purification of the self, the jihad, the martyrdom, and it has an effect on the family too. And I could see every father that lost a person in that war from 80 to 88, you could see that martyrdom, took something off of them. I mean, they wasn't running around happy and turning flips and all of that, but they had a certain tranquility, and they wasn't all sad like, oh, my son went to the war and lost this and that. No. And even the ones that hung on a long time, like some of my friends, they went to the war. One of them was a colonel in the Passaran, and he got hit with poison gas. I didn't know it because when, way people make a lecture before flags are waving, all the troops is goose-stepping. I used to do that, Now, that's going to make the white man mad over here. He's going to be mad, and everybody, and the brothers that was here, you can see water in their eyes because this is our brother, and he's over here, and they had a little special thing going on. So one of our good friends, he passed away, but you don't hear the soldiers, now they're older, and a lot of them are really dying. Some of them spent most of the time in and out of the hospital from that poison gas. But they're not committing suicide, and they're not like the guys over here. You see what I mean? So Allah takes off of, hey, anyway, any more questions or comments?
Yeah, I do have one question though. So, what qualifies people to be teachers of Islamic movement?
There's no criterion. No, here's okay.
College you brought up, I was like, well, what qualifies someone to teach at that type of institution?
No, the teaching is by practicing. Okay, I can teach about Islamic movement because the father of Islamic movement during our time was Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui. Okay, that's on the Sunni side. All the other people, Islamic movement, you're acquiring all of this stuff. It's acquired. It's not, you don't get a certificate to say you've acquired and ready to. But in the future, we want to teach people. The last period we went through, all of those CDs, DVDs, and the articles, those were on Islamic movement. Those articles have stood up, have they kind of stood up for those was deep articles. Now, in the first part of the movement, it's like a musician. You play, you play the standard tunes. But as you stick around a long time, you develop your own personality. And your music reflects, if they hear it, they say, yeah, that's so-and-so. Because they've just developed that style. And so that's the way we are. Okay, we're going into an arena of teaching and training. That's what we're going into. And we're qualified to teach. We say we're qualified because of what we've been through. We went through every movement, the Black Nationalist movement, the Liberate. We went through all the movements, and we studied all the time while we was there. And then on top of that, our writings are, when you put it on paper, it's different than saying it. You can, when you can add, subtract, you can see what's being said. Okay, so our writings, As-Sabiqun, which will have new As-Sabiquns, but this will be this stage. The writings will be on a higher level than before. Although those were good, and if people followed those, they would get them right along to a good master's type degree, familiar with the subject, right? But if they want to go all the way, what we're getting ready to teach now, we teach it because we've studied it. And what we've studied, we studied it. There's nobody else. The stuff we talk, they don't talk that. They don't talk none of that.
So that's why I was saying it's not like what makes you qualified, but it's like you have a very unique experience.
Right.
What about normal people?
No, we teach, okay, the big professor, you may never catch him unless the people that come next, as they get older, they going to catch up with that. You see what I mean? They're going to catch up with and pass it because the movement will have been through. At that time in the future, we'll have several functional Islamic states, but it'll still be these guys pulling this stuff. They can study our stuff and get the feel for it, but they'll have to write and adjust to that stage that they're in. Just like we have to do this stage. See, at one time, Ikhwan al-Muslimin was a good stage, you know what I mean? And then past that. And then Yusuf Qadawi would write stuff about that. Then it lost its punch. It don't have, And then you take, during Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui's time, he was the father of the Islamic movement at that time. We learned stuff. We learned stuff. Okay, I'll put it this way. I learned stuff because the other people are so dumb, they thought they had more sense than Dr. Siddiqui. Well, because when Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui said what he said about me, why did nobody listen? Why didn't they say, well, like the hadith about Ali? Well, you're the mullah. Why didn't they say, you're the mullah, man? What's happening? They did that like the Sunnis did. They said, mullah my behind. That's a nigga. Right? That's what they said, right? But everybody know the hadith that, you're right. So if Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui is saying, and I had forgot he said it or something. Imam Musa is the essence of all that is good. I said, dog, man, that's deep. And then when I went back to South Africa, I saw why, a few months later, why they was acting so stupid and silly. And so Dr. Siddiqui just said one thing and y'all acting. They was mad and jealous and everything else, right? They didn't put none of that to they got busy as they could to try to undermine. They sent me around the country. They send you know who the street prayer to all the favorable spots, and they would send me out in the woods. No, I'm telling you, that's what they would do. I knew what they were doing, but hey, you know. So anyway, that's why this thing about evolution, we have to do what we can during our time. During our period when we're walking around, getting around, you know, all of that. And then remember, a real movement evolves so the people that's been studying, they may go way beyond, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Freud and all them guys had teachers, right? So next you get Young and all them people, and you know what I mean? The same thing with Islamic movement. I'm doing what looks clear right now. It's clear. I ain't even tripping off of it. But the movement will be on a higher level and more sophisticated and all kind of gobbledygook, artificial intelligence and sneaky weaky stuff. You know what I mean? And brainwash and see, I'll be able to touch on some of that, but by the time this is over, this is going to be way slicker than where we are now. They're just in the first stages. And so to make a beautiful world, I believe we can do it all. We're going to try it. And the last thing I'd like to say is if we have a choice of what we going to do, why not try to do the best? Why not try to do good, right? Why say, I'm going to fix them niggas, I'm going to get me some money. You just be another dumb, crazy person with a lot of money that they print, you know, and it won't be worth nothing in 2 weeks anyway, right? And it ain't worth nothing. It's not. I'll close with this. Look, I don't remember exactly how much money I've had, but I've had sufficient money. And the better I felt was when I gave it away. And the better I have never felt as good as I do now. I don't think, you know, maybe. But I feel fine. And other people would say, how do you feel fine? They do this, they do that. You don't have no this, you don't have no do that, you know. You got a place there, ain't nobody there. Place over there, nobody there. Place there. What? Hey, they don't get it. They got a price tag on stuff that don't have no price. On freedom, on liberty, on taskiya bil nafs. Huh? They don't know what it is. They think what? Contentment. Well, what is that? What did it do? What does it look like? Where you find it at? Can I buy some? No, I don't think you can buy it. But anyway, this is to be working toward good is good. to be non-hateful and angry at the world is good. To love people is better than hating people. That's all. And I done tried them all, so, And I'll close with this. I got one picture. Does anybody remember that picture I had? I was sitting on a stool in a club and I looked real mean. Okay. I looked at that picture at that time. I said, that ain't me. I said, that nigga there is mean. And I was. Lucky nothing happened. Nobody did nothing because I had the power and I had the wherewithal to do something to somebody. But I just got lucky. Nothing happen like that. And I looked at that picture, and then I looked at my other pictures. I said, that